Death is a difficult subject to talk about because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't get answered when the people that we love pass. There's not a way for us to talk with them in the traditional sense like we used to, and a lot of us don't talk about it before the inevitable happens. So I'm starting this vlog series called Death Diaries, where I go into some of my experiences with the people that I've lost over the years, some of the shit that I've learned, and just attempting to promote more people talking about this. It's the scary things that stop people from being able to connect, and sometimes connecting on those scary things can be the best way to get to know somebody. And talking about death is something that I believe should be done. It's the one thing that we all have in common. Every single one of us will die. It's inevitable. So why is it so difficult to talk about this, Do we want to avoid the fact that it's going to happen? Does it just seem like it's just too much to deal with? To even bring up. Well, I can't even think about that because that's a common one that I've heard over the years. But if you can't bring yourself to talk to people about it while they're here, do you really think it's going to get easier when they're gone? It doesn't. It gets fucking harder. I've been thinking about death and dying for the majority of my life because of the way that it's shown up for me. Grade school is the first time I remember thinking about it. There was this classmate that lived down the street from me, and he had chased his ball out into the street and got hit by a car and died. And I just remember sitting out with my friends on the playground the next day just trying to figure out what the hell death is. We knew that he was gone. We knew that he wasn't coming back. That was the extent of it. We didn't really know too much beyond that. And I don't remember really like any of the adults sitting down and attempting to explain it. There's a difference between telling your kids about something and attempting to explain it to them. And I don't feel like we ever got the explanation or an attempt at an explanation, because all you can really do is talk about this subject because we don't know exactly what happens. We don't know exactly what happens when we die. And I believe that's why most people don't know where to start when talking about this. Another stage in my life that I experienced this was a freshman year at college. A classmate from my high school, who I had seen the day that she got into an accident. She had stopped by, her and her boyfriend had stopped by to say hi because we were all friends, and she was on her way home with him. It was around Halloween, and they got into a car accident. She passed a number of days later. I believe it was on Halloween. And that was a motherfucker of a thing, because it was like, oh, I just saw this person, and then I get a phone call from a friend later on that had happened that same day. And you don't really think about that shit happening until it does. So that's I was 19 at the time. Still confused as hell. Have no clue what to do. Nothing makes you feel better about it. And then moving on to post college, like year or two after, uh, another one of my friends who I had known pretty much my whole life. Same thing, man. She'd come to visit me at work. I was working at Starbucks at the time, and man, it's crazy how quick it can happen. I saw her. She was going to the local pool. We had this crazy storm that came through the town, and my mom and my best friend growing up, they came into the store, and I could see that they were like a little distressed. And I'm like, what's going on? And then my mom told me that she had died. It was she was heading back from the pool, and a limb had fallen off a tree, fell on the car, and crushed her basically. And that was when I knew what being numb felt like. I felt nothing. Like, it was not nothing from the standpoint of I didn't feel feelings. Like, it was one of the worst ones that I've experienced, I would say, just because of how abrupt. It's like they're there one minute. We had planned on hanging out like that weekend. Like, we were going to hang out that weekend, and it was just like, it's not guaranteed. None of this is guaranteed. Not too long after that, it was one of my grandmas, but I was still incredibly numb from that one. My friend that had passed, and you don't really know what's going on. It's difficult to explain because you're trying to process everything, but everything kind of sucks. Everything's a little bit more gray. When somebody that you love passes away, there's a piece of you that goes with them. It does get better over time, like the distance and time between when the person passed and where you are in life now. It makes things different, but it doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't take away the hurt. It doesn't take away the fact that you want that person around, Then it was just like, I get the news not too long after those instances had happened that my dad was diagnosed with cancer. So then there's the constant thought of, is he going to die today? Is he going to die today? Is he going to die today? He ended up passing in 2015. That's a whole other subject of talking about it, because there's now instances in my life that I've seen that it's so abrupt, and it gets, people's lives are gone the same day that I've seen them, and it was unexpected. And it's like, now this one was expected, but it still fucking sucks. It'll always suck. Excuse me. And On that one with my dad, I, again, taking it back to to talking about it more. I wish I would have talked with him more about death and dying. I really do. It's something that I legit wish I could get back, you know. My other grandma passed that same year, I do believe. And then my mom passed in 2017. With her, like, she had cancer as well. So we knew that, there was that she was dealing with that. She had been dealing with that for a number of years. But it was also like with my dad, we actually got like hey, by the way, he has 4 months. With her, it was, I got a phone call because there wasn't like a timetable. So it's a lot. It's a lot of different scenarios that I've experienced. I'm not special in that regard. There's people that have lost a lot of other people than I have, you know. Veterans, people that live in bad conditions with lots of gang violence. I know there's a lot of people that are young kids that are seeing their friends around them pass, seeing the adults in their life get killed. I'm not saying that I have had more heartbreak or more experience with people dying in my life than anybody else. But I've thought about it from a lot of different perspectives, and it's shown up at different stages in my life. And I keep coming back to the one thing of people talking about it. I was actually able to have a few more discussions with my mom about death and dying before she passed, and the closure that comes with talking with someone about this crazy topic. It's much better than not having it. Because as I was saying a little bit earlier with my dad, I didn't have that with him. I didn't have the same closure that I had with my mom, and it's something that I'm continuing to work on to this day. And I know this stuff can be heavy. I'm sure you're seeing by my body language right now that it's not the easiest thing in the world to talk about. But I've gotten to a point where I actually can talk about it because I haven't shied away from the discussions. I know firsthand how quickly a life can get taken. And the realization that person that you love, that person that you just expect to be there the next day, that person that you want to lean on, all of a sudden they're gone. But it feels truly alone when you can't talk about it, when you don't feel like you have somebody that you can chat with about it. I mean, there's inevitably people that are on their deathbed and dying that will hold on to their own reservations about what they really want to say because they don't believe that they can talk about it. And when people are presented with a scenario where it's like, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you want to have a conversation, but you don't know how to have a conversation. You don't want to upset certain people. You don't want to, make the person that's going through all of this upset. So you just don't say anything. I don't know that that's the best approach. It doesn't do anything for the people that are going to be left behind. Because when you die, it ain't your problem anymore. When you pass, what's done is done. It's the people that loved you that have to figure it out. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel much better about most situations if I have an idea about what it is going into it. And I think the best way that we do that is by communicating. It is by open and honest discussion. It doesn't mean that we have the answers on death. But just hearing how the people in your life view it. Chatting about what you think happens. Like, legit what you think happens. Not this fairy tale bullshit, but what do you think specifically happens? Because none of us know. It's speculation. And then taking away from that and then seeing what you can do now, seeing what you can pursue now, seeing what you can, put to meaning in your life now, that'll make that inevitable day not so bad. With each person that I've known that has passed, it brings up more questions than it does answers, a lot of the time. But it doesn't mean it's going to get any easier. The older I get, the more people that I know are going to pass. That's just how it is. The more people that you know, the older that you get, we have shelf lives. We're going to go at some point. So why are we avoiding the topic? Why are we avoiding talking with people about it? So that's what I'm bringing to this little vlog that I'm going to start doing, is focusing on a topic around, or focusing on the topic of death, but getting into some of the things that I've experienced over the years, some of the things that I've learned, some of the questions that I continue to have, and I just hope that you may get something out of this in the form of touching base with the people that you love in your life. I think that's one of the biggest components of this thing, is we want people to know that we love them. We want people to know that we care about them. We want to know that we're close to them. We want to know that how they feel about the situation. So talk about it. It helps. And it helps with that inevitable day that is going to come for everyone. Don't avoid talking about the inevitable. And that's how I'll end this first one.